Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, collectors of all ages, welcome back to AussieVerse, the home of pop culture and everything nerdy. I have Sharif with me as always, and of course I am OmniBeau, but today it's all about Brad Daniels. Thank you very much for joining us.
Welcome back, Brad.
Thanks for having me, guys. You rock.
We really appreciate
you. Are the
you
stars of the show. I just reflect in your reflected glory.
Sure, okay. We have a series of videos coming at you starting Brad. The first one tonight that we're going to be talking about is his favorite custom volumes, where I also get to show off one as well. So without further ado, Brad, please, mate, show us what you got, mate.
Okay, well, let's kick this off straight away. Let's start with, I think this was the very first one I ever had made many years ago, and that is Sensational She-Hulk, the John Byrne issues. This is when I got a proper slipcase made for it. Beautiful. Got a sketch on the back.
Sweet.
And this is volume 1 of 2. I don't know. I'm gonna look like a real perv, but yeah, there's some nice action there.
I was gonna say, did you mean to open it up on that cover? Because that was gold.
I mean, I didn't mean to, but that's the gods meant for it to be that way. So yeah, more goodness there. Just some great John Byrne humorous stuff. Yeah, and this was actually when I first found my supplier, which was a different guy than I use now because he retired since then. His name was Tony, and yeah, this was I said I want to get something bound that I like, but I don't really care if it gets ruined. That's what I ended up with.
How long ago was that?
Oh yeah, that's there's 2 volumes in the set, but this is volume 1. I put in the extra effort and got the slipcase done. Very happy with that. Now, are we going to go back and forth, me and Sharif, or? And
I don't think Sharif's showing off anything.
It's you and Bo. I'm just a spectator, and I'm just ogling at your books.
Well, then I want to bring you into this, Sharif. I want to get your rating on each of my books that I show you. So out of 10, what would you give the She-Hulk?
Well, I'm just a novice, but yeah, the finish and the graphics used for that's really well thought out. High 7, high 8.
High 7. That's a pass grade. Very happy about that. Okay, so this is another early
just a question. How many issues did you have in that volume?
This volume, that's a great question. It was half of the Byrne run.
2025?
8, 32 to 37. You're talking about per volume or in both the volumes?
In volume 1, how many issues do you have it in there?
I'm going to make that to be 13 issues in volume 1.
Mm.
13 issues only.
I could have been fooled because the older comics they tend to be slightly thicker than the modern ones. Yeah, so my guess was way off because that looked very thick.
Yeah, well, no one thinks less of you, Sharif. It was an easy mistake to make. What happened was that John Byrne did like the first 8 issues or something like that, and then he got kicked off the book, and then he came back like 2 or 3 years later and just kept on going. So this is just for John Byrne issues. Good stuff. Okay, so we got a 7 on She-Hulk, volume 1. Moving on to the next one. What's the best superhero in the world, guys?
Superman.
So we got Superman and what?
Scarlet Spider.
Scarlet Spider? You guys are way off. Best superhero is Batman, baby.
His superpower is that he's rich.
Yeah,
His
most-
superpowers is he's a rich bastard. So this is another early book I did, and this was like Grant Morrison issues. So when he did his first run on Batman, which was, let me have a look here, 655, 698 or something like that. Actually, I should probably put my glasses on so I can see things.
It just
Very
slides.
subtle. Very subtle. So, yeah, 655 to 658, 663 to 675. From 2006 to 2008. Once again, I worked for years as a professional graphic designer, so I'd put together the slipcases, the dust jackets myself. Got some covers.
Oh, nice.
Covers from the run on there on the back, and I went the extra mile and I got a nice glossy title page in there as well. So yeah, and of course, all sorts of good stuff in here. Kubert's doing the artwork as the famous issue 666.
Yes.
With the evil Batman of the future, Damien, and all sorts of good stuff. And like there's lots of the Club of Heroes, later to become Batman Incorporated. Yeah, really good stuff. I'm a big Grant Morrison fan, and these weren't collected at that time, so I went out and did it myself. I have the rest of his run in like regulation hardcovers that you can buy at the store, but the start of it, got my own custom one done. Woot woo.
It is great when you get it done yourself because you feel so proud, especially if it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, there's gonna be some more of those coming up. I tell you. Okay, Sharif, and you can join in, Beau, as well. I mean, I'm going to rank yours at the end, but how would you rank the Batman?
I'd be giving that probably a 7 as well, actually.
7, tough crowd.
Well, the standards are very, very high here with Sharif's books. I've got to tell you.
Oh yeah, I suppose yeah, it's a bit rough. It's hard to live up to that sort of standard.
My grade would be, because it's DC and not Marvel, and 8.5.
8.5. Look at that. Oh, I'm going to trade all this in for points at the end. Okay. Now we're going to do something a little obscure. Okay, so the year is 1992, I think. No, it'd be 1996. There's a comic which was a really early steampunk comic, before the term steampunk even existed, I believe. And it was the gender-flipped Sherlock Holmes pastiche, Baker Street.
Oh, okay. I don't even know this one.
Yeah, it's very obscure. So it's by Guy Davis is the artist. He did lots of work for DC Vertigo. Gary Reed was the writer. So this is like, and of course, I think when I made this volume, which has a nice wraparound cover, I should like open that out so you can see London. Like just great artwork there. Cool. But when I made this, there was no collected edition. I believe there has been one which was kickstarted a couple of years ago. But back in the day, this was the only way you could get a collection done of it. And it's just like really great. Like it's really leaning into the punk side of steampunk. Like Guy Davis is an amazing artist. This is like his first breakthrough into the mainstream. There's like, of course, there's a Jack the Ripper mystery going on. And just this beautiful, detailed, moody, like London shrouded in fog artwork.
Who's the publisher for this, Brad?
Hey?
Who's the publisher for this? The publisher.
It was originally done by Caliber Comics, I believe.
Oh,
which,
Caliber, the ones that did the Chrome.
Yeah, there's the front. There's the wraparound cover for the first issue.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, like, I always like putting like wraparounds as a spread like that, so people can appreciate the whole artwork.
Oh, so that means if it's a wraparound cover, you folded it the other way.
That's right.
Oh,
that way you get the whole. You can get the whole
Yeah.
spread of it. So I think I'm losing points.
No, I think you're
no,
giving him
that's
ideas.
ingenious.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gaining points! Hooray! So that's a very obscure one, but very close to my heart. Also, a very early one I did, but such a good read, and it was, of course, left to be continued, and it never was. So we'll never find out how it ends. Really great setup. I can't even Harlequin was the name of the female punk Sherlock Holmes, and it was just really good. TM Brad Daniels. So that's scores.
I'm going to give that one a 9 because it's not Marvel or DC. So my opinion goes a lot higher, and it just looked cool, man. I love seeing stuff that I've never heard of. It looked cool.
Cool. Sharif?
Yeah, agreed. I agree, bro. It's really high up there.
No worries. Okay. So next up, let's go back to DC land. Now, back in the day, they used to have archive editions. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they all had the same look. So this is my attempt, because I bought the first few archive editions for this title, but they were so expensive. I think it was like over $100, maybe up to $200 for each. And this was back in the 90s. So I made my own. I got up to issue 3, volume 3, and then just did my own. So this is the New Teen Titans archive edition. I just basically ripped off their design and added my own artwork.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So, that looks like a legit book.
And this one, okay, let's get some extra.
But that is definitely so much thicker than the original archive.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have some of these that are actually signed by George Perez and Marv Wolfman.
Wow.
But this one is not signed by George Perez and Marv Wolfman. So I was going to say, check out the signatures, but there's none there. And this one, because I could, as you guys know, the power of doing your own editions, I could put in something that would not be reprinted by DC.
Oh, yeah.
X-Men Teen Titans crossover.
Yes.
I remember chasing that issue once upon a time.
Yep. I completely forgot I had it until I started reading this through, and then I got to this bit, and I was like, oh, I do have that in my collection. It's just bound up in the book. And as an added bonus in this one, I also have they brought out a index of the New Teen Titans comics, so I put that in the back.
Oh, nice touch.
It's like a 5-issue series, and it's all collected in there. So that's my. So I did. Let me just do a quick count. I did 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. So I did volumes 4 to 7, I believe.
I was going to say, actually, when you showed us some pictures for the potential thumbnail that we were going to create for this, I was quite surprised at just how many custom books you had.
I got a lot. I've been doing this for a while. I have been. At various points, I did it for profit. In fact, if you're interested, you could go to comicvolumes.com if you wanted me to make some of these for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
Oh, cool.
Comicvolumes.com. It's just a link to the email, so that's the way to go. Yeah, but I've been doing these for ages. I sort of petered off recently, which is why a lot of these are older ones. But they're just like, if you could see my shelves, they are just chockers with my custom hardcovers. Okay, this is another
I would
one.
love to visit you, Brett.
You can come anytime you want. Okay, this is another one which at the time was not reprinted, and it's Who's Who in the DC Universe.
Oh, yeah, they recently did that.
Yeah.
Excellent cover.
Yeah, so that's the John Byrne cover from the Superman issue. So it's got like Supergirl, Superman, and the Golden Age Superman as well. And I think Swamp Thing's sitting there at the bottom too, going, "Hey, look at me!" And of course, this is 24 issues collected in 2 volumes with a few bonus issues. Like I had updates for a couple of years as well. So these are just great to have. One day I want to do a podcast where a friend of mine will pick out random characters and make fun of them. So yeah, there's a Swamp Thing entry.
Yeah, that's great.
Do you usually go back to those books and look through them?
They're just great. It's amazing. Like that time, it was 1988, 89, maybe a little earlier, but it was just like there's so much like creativity and like honoring of their history at that point in time. It was just after DC's 50th anniversary, and the whole Who's Who was just like, it's great. It's like reading an encyclopedia, but a fun one. I guess it's like reading Wikipedia. Okay, scores for that fella.
That's definitely a 9 because I'm putting it at a 9 because the time that you would have created that one, that is definitely a love letter to DC, because that would have been a passion project, and yeah, that means more to me than a good story.
Oh, Sheriff?
I felt
you can be honest.
Yeah, no, just trying to find the right. The way you went about doing it at such an early stage of where DC was, and that kind of foresight.
Yeah,
gotta give you props for that. Yeah.
You're right. I am a genius. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to use the word, but I can tell what you're saying. Okay, we're getting to the bottom of the stack. In fact, this is the last one I have.
Alrighty, give us a look.
But there's another story behind this, and it's another DC collected edition back in the 2000s, I believe. They did the Jack Kirby omnibuses, which collected the First World, his New Gods, all the work he did for DC, basically. So OMAC and the Demon and all these great imaginative things. But I have a shelf which is just Jack Kirby.
Oh, really?
Includes is just as run on Fantastic Four, all the DC omnibuses that they brought out back in the day. But there was one Jack Kirby comic that would never. Well, there were 2 comics that will never be collected. One is all his independent work, which I made, but that's not what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something a little bit more obscure. So it's a movie tie-in comic done by Jack Kirby, and it was done, I think, 12 years after the movie came out. Anyone want to take a guess?
I'm trying to think.
Jack Kirby, 12 years after the movie. I'm stumped.
Flummoxed. Okay, so this is done in the exact same style as the DC editions, but it is a Marvel comic. This is the Jack Kirby 2001: A Space Odyssey Omnibus edition.
So what's in that one?
Well, that has Jack Kirby did a adaptation of 2001.
Yeah.
But that's not in this. That's a Treasury edition size thing. It's like one of those huge mothers. This is a series he did called 2001: A Space Odyssey, which it was like a different story every time, a different story every issue, and it always had the what is that thing that was floating around, the artifact of a monolith. It would have the monolith floating around doing things in the background.
Yeah.
So that's this one. Okay, so that's the cover, which is done in the style of the DC Omnibus editions. I made it so it fit exactly with the spines of them, because that's what I'm looking at. So you see there it says 2001: A Space Odyssey and Machine Man Omnibus. Machine Man first appeared in an issue of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh.
He was called Mr. Machine back then.
Right. It's not a Marvel Machine Man.
Yeah. It's a Marvel comic, mate.
Oh,
this
right.
Is his first
Sorry.
appearance of...
I was thinking of DC because of you mentioned the Fourth World.
Yeah. So there's Mr. Machine Man with his face off, sitting there, and at the top it says, "Give me back my face." Great stuff. And this is just like there's no way in the world this will ever be reprinted. It's just too obscure, and obviously owned by a movie company, and not Warner Brothers, the owner of DC. Not that it matters. Who Marvel? Yeah, not owned by Marvel. So here we go. Oh, look, there's ads. We've got nothing but the best in here. There's like some weird cosmic Kirby action going on with a little star child being born. So that and the independent omnibus, which I don't have out, but it reprints all the work he did, like the Silver Star series he did, Destroyer Duck, and Captain Victory and the Space Rangers. All this really weird, wild stuff that he did when he was sick of working for Marvel and DC and just went off and did his own thing. And no one paid much attention to him. But it does have the fighting fetus in there as one of the characters, which is an armored fetus that goes around zapping people with cosmic rays. Amazing. So, 2001: A Space Odyssey and Machine Man Omnibus score?
That's a 10, mate.
Oh, yes.
That's a 10.
Well, that's
you just saved the best for last, didn't you?
Yeah, I finished on a high. I mean, it's like the one I'm most proud of, because it's just like I said, it's obscure. It'll never be reprinted, and it's just bonkers. It's just the most amazing, like, Jack Kirby was a man with big ideas, and they didn't often make sense, but they were big ideas. So really enjoyable. So that's my little tour of my favorite volumes that I've put together. I think it's time for someone else to get in the action on that, though.
Alrighty, and we're back. Sorry, technical issues all fixed up. Now, my go. Let's take a look here. So this is one that I showed off on a previous iteration of a YouTube channel, but never on AussieVerse. There was a series that I always wanted to get done desperately in a custom bound omnibus. And my partner, oh mate, I tell you what, she did a fantastic job. She went and got this done for me. She designed it all. It cost way too much money because of how she did it as well. And it kind of stopped me from doing them again. But there is plenty more that I want to get done. I'm just not going to spend the money that I did on this one for the future ones. I'm going to take a leaf out of Sharif's book and do it that way, I think. But this is one that would also never be printed in an omnibus or any sort of collection. Well, no, sorry, they did do a collection. They did trade paperbacks, but they're completely out of print now. People know them as DC versus Marvel. I decided to call it Marvel versus DC. So,
that is nice. Look at that.
And we then have...
Oh, that is amazing.
And nothing on the back, just nice and black, right? Now, what I've done with this one is starts off with the mini-series, which is DC versus Marvel. It then goes into the second series, which is DC Marvel Access. And then they made a third series. No, that's still Access. Here we go. I've skipped a few, but DC Unlimited, DC Marvel Unlimited Access. Then they had
those
all
look
the
like amalgam heroes. If I see what I...
That's right. Then they did all the one shots. You know, they did like Lobo the Duck and the Spider Boy and Bat Thing, and so I've got all of that in here. And then just like you did with your what you showed us at the back of yours, Brad, I decided to include a little extra in this, which was the Vision magazine, which was sort of like come on, help me out here, Sharif. What was that magazine that used to always be around with all the info?
Marvel Age?
Marvel. Yeah, okay, that'll do. That wasn't what I meant, but that'll do. It was sort of like that. And this was all about the amalgam age. So I threw that in here.
Wow.
And it's just all the articles and all that sort of jazz in there too.
Nice.
And yeah, that got pretty thick, man. So all of that together, and that just sits on its own on top of everything in my own little collection. And it's my prize of joy out of all my books, other than anything with Scarlet Spider.
Well, I've never read it, but I'm going to give it a 10.
Own special section there.
It does. It
nice.
does. Well, thank you very much for joining us here. That was fantastic of us to see, Brad. Thank you very much for showing us. I hope everybody else enjoyed it. We do have some more videos coming. Until then, please don't forget that you can hit us up at Instagram, AussieVerse_Comx, where you can also check out our graphic designer, A51_designs. And as normal, we are proudly sponsored, very lucky to be so, sponsored by Comx. If you're not sure who they are, check this out.
This show is sponsored by the Comx shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.